To Mount Olive AME Church.
Thank you for having me.
So this morning, the first thing that we're going to talk about is law enforcement community engagement. And that is going to be with Deputy Quentin Williams and his guest from the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Deputy Quentin Williams is the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office. He was born and raised in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and is a proud Native American with roots in Beaver Creek, PD, and Tuscarora Indian tribes. He has served as deputy in Orangeburg County for the past 4 years, with a combined total of nearly a decade in law enforcement. Come on, Jeans. He has an associate's degree in applied science, a certification focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, a certification for master barbering and cosmetology, as well as being a certified life coach. He will be continuing his education in the fall of 2025 at South Carolina State University, working towards a bachelor's degree in biology with a focus on oncology. In his spare time, he enjoys camping, fishing, kayaking, woodworking, and spending time with his family. Mount Olive, I present to you Deputy Quentin Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
She made me feel good. She said I looked at her. It took a lot of work. So she did a wonderful job introducing me, but I want to talk with you this morning about our community engagement, specifically with our youth. I know that they are our future. My job as a community outreach coordinator for the Sheriff's Office is pretty much to make sure that all of these engagements, all of these events run smoothly, coordinate everything, get with our business leaders, our partners, our churches, our faith-based organizations, and make sure that we are coming together as a whole for different aspects of our community. But again, my main focus and what I know the sheriff loves to focus on is our children, is our youth. I was a school resource officer, actually coming into Orangeburg County, so for the past 4 years I've been doing that until January, the end of January of this year, and I transitioned into this position. One of my main focuses was making sure that in schools, of course, aside from the law enforcement aspect of it, I wanted to help teach our children things that they do not learn in school. The school that I was at, I created a garden club with them. So the kids were planting, they were outside gardening, we got a greenhouse, we were able to get grants and have things donated to the school. It was an amazing thing that grew, and we ended up actually with a chicken coop there.
All right.
So the kids had 6 chickens that they were taking care of and raising, and then they started laying eggs. So now the kids are actually going out and gathering the eggs and selling eggs to the community.
All right.
Putting that money back into their garden club, so it's teaching them responsibility.
All right.
And it's something that I absolutely love, and I wanted to take that and kind of do it on a larger scale with the county. So this position is going to allow me to do that. But it takes different organizations. It really takes a village to raise kids and to teach them. So this year we have our summer camps, and I do have the applications for our summer camps. We are holding one in the North region in Orangeburg. Another one is going to be out here in the East. So I can get those applications for anybody that wants them. The ages are 8 to 17. It's a week-long summer camp. Drop them off in the morning, pick them up in the afternoon. We have a blast. It's one of the biggest things that I look forward to every year. Of course, we do our back-to-school bashes, and that will be held later on in July, early August. Those are always really important as well, and I try to get out to the schools as much as possible. Any events that you guys know of, I can leave my contact information with you. Make sure you reach out to me and let me know anything that you want to spearhead I've been contacted about possibly doing some cleanup in the area, some road work or road cleanup, community cleanup, things like that. I think it's really important, and it's going to take, of course, a village. Someone saying, "Hey, my community needs this. Can we do this?" Reach out to us and let us know, and we can help you organize that. We can help you get that together. I guess we can do a Q&A portion if that'll help you guys. Maybe if you have any questions for me, anything that you would like to ask, so that I can answer it. Our victims advocate is here, Ms. Deborah Pelzer. She is wonderful. The victim services helps me a lot with all of these community events, with going out and talking to our citizens, and just letting them know that even aside from this portion of it, anything that you guys need as far as from victim services, they are available as well. If anything happens, of course, don't be afraid to call us. You're going to have someone on your side as a victim. So she makes sure that they come out and speak with me and have these community events with me, just to show everybody that they're here as well. But yeah, we can do a Q&A portion if you guys have any questions for me. Anything? No?
Well, I do have one question. As the pastor of this church, what can we do as a local church to participate in some of the things that you mentioned, and what role can we play to further assist you and help you be more effective in your role?
So I'll get you my information. I can make sure to forward you everything that we get. Now, it's completely up to you if you guys want to just focus on this area or you want to focus on Orangeburg County as a whole. So I can send you that information as I get it on what we're planning, what we're doing, and whatever you guys can do, we greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
So it's not going to come and say, hey, do this, but it's going to be, what can you do? What would you like to do? How can you help? And it's kind of giving that opportunity to you and what you guys are able to do here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it something that you can go online and fill out, or you just call the telephone?
For-
Online, like if they want to do a program or something in the area, do they go online and fill out something, or do they take a phone call?
I can actually, that is not a bad idea. I have not thought about that. Like I said, I've only been doing this for, 4 months now? But I will get with our chief of staff, and I'll see if we can possibly set something like that up. As of right now, you would just have to call in. My email address, I'll give you my email as well, you can email me. But if we had a portal that you could do a request and it would come, directly, and I could contact you from there, that would not be a bad idea. Do you have any other questions?
I have one. What are some of the things as a deputy that's out and about that the sheriff office needs to be targeting with police? Besides making sure that they're motivated and doing things to stay engaged and out of trouble. What are some of the other issues that the sheriff's office is focused on?
Oh, that is a big one. Scams are huge.
Yeah.
Scams are a really big one, and the staff has to deal a lot with that. But especially, this is more going to be geared toward our older citizens of the county. I actually personally had someone try to scam people using my information, using my name. So,
Wow.
Did you see that on the news? No. But it's really important to know that if someone says that they're calling from the sheriff's office and they say, hey, my name is Deputy such and such, and you owe money, you have a warrant, blah, blah, we're never going to call you and tell you that over the phone. When we go to some of our senior homes, we talk and focus a lot on this with them, just so they know and kind of understand. They can call and pretend to be your family member. They can call and pretend to be the IRS. They're calling and pretend to be deputies. They're calling, and it's not just calls, it's text messages as well. And they're asking you to wire money. They're asking you to go to Walmart and purchase a preloaded card. And hey, this is going to keep you out of jail. Hey, this is going to get your niece out of jail. Hey, this is going to do this or this is going to do that. And those are scams. So the best thing to do if you get a phone call like that, I would immediately hang up. Don't worry about keeping the people on the phone and being nice. They're not trying to be nice to you. Go ahead and hang up. Tell your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever, yeah, hang up the phone. Once you do that, you can always contact us. Call the sheriff's office. Call the non-emergency number. Say, hey, can I speak to a deputy just to run this by them? You know, somebody called and said they were Deputy Quentin Williams and that I had a warrant. I just want to verify that everything is okay. Of course, you're going to call them. We're going to say, no, that's not how it works. That's not what we do. Please don't send anybody any money. Facebook's the same way. They're sending messages on Facebook.
Yeah.
They'll text you and tell you that you're told that you ran a toll light, and say, hey, you know, you have to pay $5.49. You go thinking you pay $5.49. They get your account and wipe it out. Now they might get $5.50 out of my account. It's probably all they're gonna get. But no, I mean the scams are really serious in Orangeburg County. Not only in Orangeburg County, but honestly in our entire nation. And it's very difficult to pinpoint where these are coming from. So the best thing to do is just prevent yourself from it happening to you. Educating other people. That way we can just lessen the impact of it. Make sure we hang up on them. That's it. They're going to use a different number, they're going to eventually block or delete that number because they're found out, and then they'll just create a new number and start all over again. It's very unfortunate, but it's just it's about education at this point. Anybody else? Yes.
I had one more. In fact, staying with the scam situation, I remember I received a group text message one time saying that I had to pay some money for a toll, and I'm like, how in the world does someone get your number? And they have all these different people in a group text sending out a text saying that you have to pay a toll or your license is going to get suspended. So I guess my question is, so when we see scams like that, is there a way that we can report it and have it, sort of like investigated to try to track those persons who are sending those type text messages like that?
So because it's very hard to they're using what's called internet numbers.
Oh, okay.
So they're going online using a fake email account, and they are actually signing up through apps for false numbers, for internet numbers.
Wow.
It's a number that they're given. It can use Wi-Fi, or it can use their mobile data, but a lot of times those numbers are not really traceable. All they do is go and delete that number and then sign up for a new number through the app. That number's gone, it's sent back out for somebody else to get, and then they just assign themselves a new number. It has become so easy and so widespread that it's just like it's a constant thing. The only thing that you can do to try to, I guess, help right now, if you have an iPhone, I can't.
This is Samsung.
Samsung, okay. I know with iPhone, I have not tried it with my Android because I don't get a lot of scam calls or messages on this one. But with iPhone, if you hold down on that message and go to delete it, it'll say delete and report as spam. And you can do that from your iPhone. Again, can you do it on Android? Okay, I have to do it. Like I said, I don't get a whole lot on that. But it's like my iPhone constantly spam. But yeah, that's definitely something that you can do to try to just go ahead and get that number reported. But again, unfortunately, they're just going to do away with that one and sign up for another one within 2 minutes. That's really how quick it is.
Oh, man.
So it's unfortunate, but if it's something that a family member has been scammed, they have exchanged that money, then absolutely call and make a report. That of course needs to be done. When the calls are just coming through, you can report them to your carrier. That's about all we can do with that one.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Anybody else?
One of the things that I wanted to touch on was how should you interact with law enforcement on traffic stop?
Okay. So I haven't run traffic in a little while, y'all. Before Orangeburg County, I was an officer in Denmark, South Carolina, for almost 6 years. I loved it. And I ran traffic a lot in Denmark. I like to tell everybody I'm just light skinned. I'm just light skinned. But of course, I'm not blind to the difference. It is all about how we treat people. People are people. People are people. So and I'm just going to speak from personal experience. On traffic stops, when I'm parked on the side of the road and there's a car that's coming by me and they're speeding and I clock them with my radar, I don't know if they're black, I don't know if they're white, I don't know if they're Indian, I don't know if they're Filipino, I don't know what they are, who they are, male, female, I have no idea. The same way you can't see us, we can't see you. That radar is going to catch you before anything else. Trust me, my eyesight is not that good, so I was like, do you have an iPhone? But no, when that happens and we stop the car, we get behind this car, the way that your energy goes up, the way your anxiety goes up, yours does the same thing. It's the same exact thing. When we get complacent is when we let our guard down. And honestly, there are bad people in every career field.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell you to be comfortable on the side of the road if you get pulled over. We're not going to be comfortable. It's really not a comfortable situation. It's not. I don't want you to let your guard down. We can't let our guard down. And it's not going to be for the interaction with you. It's not going to be for the interaction with her. It's not going to be for the interaction with you. It's going to be for that interaction with that person that has just robbed a store. Or that deputy or that officer that unfortunately isn't a good person. So always keep your guard up. I'm not going to tell you that we are all perfect. We're not. We're not. At the end of the day, I go home, I take all of this off, and I'm not Deputy Williams anymore.
Right.
I'm not. I have a family to go home to. You guys have a family to go home to. But it is going to be about how you treat that person on the side of the road. So my initial thing, I'm walking up, I'm smiling. I just pulled you over. Depending on how you act, you may or may not get a ticket. To be honest, and I will joke, I will have fun. I'm laughing on the side of the road with you. Like, did you realize you were going that fast? No, I wasn't paying attention. I'm so sorry, I didn't see a sign. I'm not from here. Oh, where are you from? We're going to carry on a little conversation. I want you to feel good about this. I want to feel good about this. Like I said, that initial, everything's going to be high.
Right.
But I'm going to approach and I'm going to make it to where, you know what? He's not bad. He's not like what I saw on the news. This is my first time being pulled over. I'm 20 years old. I'm scared. You know, I'm a 20-year-old black man. I'm scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. So my thing is, it goes back to how we are going to have this conversation, how I'm going to treat people. If you give me respect, I give you respect.
Right.
We're going back and forth, we're talking, we're joking. Hey, you were going 15 miles over the speed limit, but you know what? You've never had a ticket before. Everything checks out. You've got your insurance, you've got your license, you've got your registration. I'm going to go back, write a little warning. I'm back to you and say, hey man, I'm not going to mess up your driver's license. Please slow down for me. Oh, I got you. All right, have a good day. That's it. That's it. It is really that simple. Now, if I approach a window and I'm like, hey, Deputy Williams at the Warrensburg County Sheriff's Office, how are you? I don't have anything to say. Okay. Can I get your license, registration, proof of insurance? Why'd you stop me? Well, sir, ma'am, you were speeding. You know, it's 35 back there. You were going 45. Can I get your license, registration, proof of insurance? I'm going to reach in my glove box. Is that all right? yeah. Do you have anything in there? I said, no, you got a bottle? Like, come on, I'm still trying. Well, where I'm from, y'all shoot people. I've been told that.
Oh, wow.
I've been told that.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, oh goodness. You say y'all, but that's not me. That's not me. So we have to try to de-escalate those as much as possible. To be honest with you, they're probably getting a ticket.
So what you're saying, you gotta guard the attitude. Both
Okay.
sides, no, both sides gotta guard the
Oh,
attitude.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Dude, what is that saying? And my grandma used to say it. You get a lot more with honey than you do with vinegar.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
'Cause I'm smiling.
Yeah.
That's
Stop
it.
it. Why would you?
I'm telling you, like,
That's what I do.
no one pulls people over just to have a negative interaction.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
If it was like that all day at work, I'd call out every day. I'd find something else to do. This ain't it for me. This is not it for me. No, I'm telling you guys, like, and I use that word a lot, but I would have people that not arrested, that I would have to take to jail, smiling and laughing and cutting up with me in the back of the patrol car on the way to the jail. Honestly. And I'm, when they got, oh, Q, man, I appreciate it. You look out for me. Yeah, man, I got you. We're good. We're good. I know you were doing what you had to do. Yeah, we're good. And make sure you don't do it again. I don't want to have to do this again, but we're cool. And that's really what it's about. And I sometimes I wish I could clone myself and, make a lot of me. I can't do that. So it's all about education. It's all about learning how to deal with people, how to talk to people.
Yeah.
And in this field, in this line of work, we can't be robots. We have to show people that we are people.
Right.
We are the
Absolutely.
same.
Yeah.
I just have to uphold the law, and I have to, unfortunately, sometimes take it to jail. But no, it's, and that's why I love this position that I'm in now, is because I feel like they see a different side of us. When I go out, it's not, oh, that's the one that arrested me. It's not really that anymore with me. Now it's, oh, I saw you at that event. Got kids that run up to me. Hey, Deputy Williams, you remember me? Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, from summer camp last year. Yeah. Are you coming again this year? Absolutely, I had so much fun. Wonderful. Wonderful. That is what I like to see now. And I want the community as a whole, the sheriff wants the community as a whole to be able to see us in that light. And know that, hey, if I do something dumb, I gotta do what I gotta do. But it's alright, because that was my fault. That was on me. I'm not gonna let it happen again. And it's all about that. It's all about that interaction. It's all about that interaction and letting people know that it is okay to call us. That it is okay to say, hey, I need help, because they trust us, because they see us out. They see us doing things like this. They see us at all of these events. They see us, working with our youth, working with our kids. And it may be someone that was like, I don't want nothing to do with 12. I don't like them. Ain't never done nothing to me, but, F the police.
Yeah.
Heard that a few times.
Yeah.
But then seeing us like this, it's like, you know what? Yeah, that light skin, But I mean, that's it. From the side of the road to calls to just seeing us in a store. It's just that interaction, that interaction, that positive interaction. No matter what the situation is, and I know that things are going to be heightened, especially on calls. Even more so than traffic stops. Emotions are going to be heightened, everything's going to be up, but it's still trying to make it a positive interaction through all the negativity.
Right.
If we can do that, then we have succeeded. Anything else? No? Anybody else? All right, thank you for having me. Yeah, so I'm Miss Deborah Pelzer come and speak to you guys for just a second. You said you don't have anything left to say? I'm sorry. I can talk for a while. But she has been a volunteer advocate since 2012, right? And then
Volunteer advocate,
came
okay.
on full time with us in October of 2023. She's wonderful. I'm happy to call her my friend and my colleague. Deborah Pelzer.
All right.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
First, giving honor to God who's ahead of my life, to Reverend Dr. Simpson, and all of the members here at Mount Olive, and also to our county council chairperson, Mr. John Grant. So glad to see you come in this morning.
All right.
I'd just like to say good morning. I bring you greetings. First of all, let's see how I can say it. Being a Baptist preacher, daughter.
All right.
I'm not going to take that long.
All right.
But I bring you greetings, half of my family from Round Chapel AME Church.
Okay.
Cameron/Ellery. Another half is Warren Chapel Baptist Church, which I am a member of in Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Okay. Warren Chapel.
I just want to, and also bring you greetings from our sheriff in his absence, Sheriff Leroy Ravenel, really sheriff here in Orangeburg County. So this morning, I just want to talk to you a little bit about victim services. Have anyone ever had any incident where you had to call for a victim advocate to come out, whether it was a breaking, a robbery, shooting, any incidents here in this area? Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. When we get a call, and there's any cases like that, it's usually issued by an officer, and then the officer makes contact with whoever the victim advocate that is on call. Today, it's me. That's what you get the call. And we usually come out and see what can we do to help you with a situation that has occurred at your residence or your business. It's just another step we're here for you here at Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office. So we come out and after the deputies have done the assessment, we go in and see what we can do to help you with the problem. If there's been a murder that occurred, we go in and talk with the family, see about getting them some type of help. And depending on the murder situation, we can also help with funeral services. It's a lot of stuff that we offer. So we can just come in and sit down and do an assessment of the situation at that time. I do have some cards here with me from our victim services that have our information on it. And also I brought my card. So if there's any questions that comes up that you may have, you want to ask, and you're not sure after we leave here today, please get my card, call me. If I don't pick up, sometimes I may be in court because we also do bond court, like I had to do this morning before I got here. So if there's anything that you want to ask, let us know. A lot of times we go out on calls when we get to a family, especially their children. Sometimes they don't have anything. And so we usually go out and we get our community partners. They provide blankets, y'all do a project. I've even had kids that needed pampers. With being a grandmother myself, I know I carry that bag in my car everywhere I go because you never know what may happen when it comes to the kids. They either need this, they either need that, or snacks. So I pretty much have a lot of stuff available to assist them. Not only the children, the adults. We had a situation where they just came out with clothing on their back. We had to get them to a safe place, a safe haven away from the situation that they were involved in. So there's a lot of things that we do. Each situation is different. Somebody may have a situation over here, robbery is maybe different from your situation over here. So we have to assess that situation as it comes. So that's why I'm saying, please make sure you get our card numbers before you meet us. And not only that, with victim services, we have been doing a lot of community projects with Deputy Williams. And one that's dear to my heart, and I hope y'all will have us to come in. We do a whole section,
about an hour on scams.
Mm.
And we come in because, not only our elderly adults, we have some young folks as well are being scammed out of all of their money. Have anyone ever saw a movie that's called The Beekeeper? If you
Yeah.
can Google that
Yeah.
and see that movie, you know exactly where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
She was scammed out of all of her money and she ended up taking her life.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you too much about the movie. But we do that. We come in to the groups, churches, communities, senior groups, and we do a session just on scams. And not only that, we also do one on self-defense. We'll be doing self-defense classes in and out of Orangeburg County. And it's, you know, being built up, so you have to call in and we'll see what available dates and go from there. But that's a good one as well. A lot of times, I don't know how many people love Walmart like me. I go to Walmart, but I don't go to Walmart at night. And when I do go to Walmart, when I do go to Walmart, I'm not going to Walmart. Can I just hold you back up?
You can hold.
I'm not going to Walmart with this bag.
Oh, don't go with it.
Because they're looking for you. As soon as you get out of that car,
What I do?
and they'll snatch it from you.
No, they
Yeah,
can't.
they'll snatch it from you. I go out to a lot of senior events, and I'll tell them, I used to have to tell my mom and my aunts, please do not take your pocketbooks, the kitchen sink, and everything to Walmart, because while you're sitting there getting out the car, or putting the groceries back in the car, trust me, they're looking for you, and they're looking to try to rob you.
Mm-hmm.
And they know the first one,
Tomorrow.
Walmart, grocery stores, they're out there looking. When you think you're not, and you're trying to put all this in the car, they're watching you, and they'll distract you. And it may not be just one person, it's a group. So we just have to be mindful of ourselves when we go places and do things. One of my senior groups, I like to tell them, my granddaughter showed this on Amazon. I don't ever carry a bag in Walmart. So they'll have to fight me to get it off of my neck. And then we also have wristbands that I use to put anything in it because they're sitting there watching you while you're at the register bringing up $200 or $300 for the groceries. You're not looking at your bag, they're looking at what you're doing. So it's a lot of programs that we want to help you with in the community. Like I said, we work close with Deputy Williams. Give us a call. We will set up a meeting. We usually like to try, if you can, get it during the day hours if we don't have it every day. But just give us a call. Give me a call, and I'll try to see, or Deputy Williams, try to see what we can do. The main thing is we want each and every one of you in here to be safe, feel safe in Orangeburg County, your county that you live in, you reside, you pay taxes here. We just want you to be safe. Are there any questions?
I have one question, at least one. Since you said you have resources to help, families who are in need, things of that nature, and you said something about funerals, and pastors, that's something that jumps out at pastors because we need resources.
Yeah, that's if there had been a money that was resources.
So my question is, if we know someone that's a victim and they come to the church needing help, would that be something that the church could make a referral directly to you, or would we have to go through the sheriff department?
Let us take a look and see if there's something. We have stopped on the victim services to see if there's any help. Every situation is different. So give us a call and we can see what kind of help, what can we offer them. We have other resources too. We might not be able to help them directly with South Carolina Victim Services, but there might be another company like DSS that may be able to help.
Okay.
Or you have OCAD to help some of the lives.
Okay.
Just give us a call and we try to see what we can do. Because the main thing is we want everybody to feel comfortable here in this county, Orangeburg County, under our sheriff's reward backgrounds. We're here for you. When I get up in the morning, I'm here. That's my favorite saying, faith, family, and friends. A couple of years ago, I won the Advocate of the Year for South Carolina.
Okay.
When I get up in the morning, I look at my faith family and friends, and I have that singing all over my house and in my office.
Uh-huh.
Because that's something I believe truly.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of self-defense.
Yeah, we have some guys, what they do, they'll come out, and they'll show you tactics.
Oh.
You've got, walking in Walmart with that bag,
That's exactly.
if something happens, they kind of show you things that you can do to get out of it and avoid
Self-defense.
that. There is a class, it's about an hour long as well. So we have a group that we get with them and they come in and show you, especially now, they say for females, but it's for males too. It's for males too, so it's for everybody.
So my question to that is, how do we, if we want to have something like that here, who do we reach out to schedule something like that? 'Cause that's something definitely that I would like to see happen here at this church.
It's my heart.
Thank you. Praise the Lord. All right. All right.
And usually what I try to ask a lot of groups is try to get a couple of dates in mind, and let me try to work and see what dates we have available,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll come out and talk to you.
Okay.
I do a lot of seniors, like we work advanced senior citizens.
Mhm.
We have Branchville, we have Orangeburg County Council on Aging. I'm the top person that does that, so there's a lot of groups that I can go in and sit down and coordinate the program and talk.
Okay. All right. And I have one more question. I don't want to be the one having all the questions, but you said you mentioned that you're a volunteer victims advocate. If someone else wants to pursue that same role, how would they go about becoming a volunteer advocate?
We started out back in, at that time, well, now she's second in command at Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office. There was a volunteer program. I don't know when she's going to start that program or if it's going to start back up, but we do have people, that maybe want to come in and volunteer. You have to go through the Sheriff's Office with that.
Okay.
But I started in 2012 when she first started the program, and I went in and volunteered until I decided one day this is what I can help people more with, being out there in the field one-on-one. So in 2023, I hanged up my role in the tax assessor's office and became a full-time volunteer.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool.
So you probably have seen me there if you ever came up, paid taxes. I work in that office because
Okay.
But if you don't have any questions, we're going to be here for a little bit. I have some cards. I know we have some cards over here. Just get with me. But I would love for y'all to please set up the SCAM program for us to come back and talk to y'all about SCAM. It's a video presentation that we can show them and do that. And it's very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Let's thank the Sheriff's Office for all of the information that they've given us thus far. So in my nervousness, because I know I have a big mouth, y'all, and I do like to talk, but I am nervous. I'm a shy girl. Let me establish protocol right quick, as was previously done, to our pastor of Model AME Church, Reverend Dr. Malcolm O'Toole.
God bless you.
Retired full-time pastor now. And to Reverend Sumter, thank you, man. Reverend Gladden in her absence, our exorbitors, Sister Mary Ann Kitt, and Brother Johnny Boyd, and also Minister Tyler Brown, who is our licentiate. So he's our up-and-coming pastor. And also to our amazing First Lady, I saw you come in, welcome. And to Council Councilman Johnny Wright, welcome, sir.
God bless you. Mhm.
Now that protocol has been established, I am going to point you out to a few key things in the building. So those that are not from AME-Holly, if you need to use the restroom, they're over to your right. We also have the ladies from the solicitor's office that has information on expungements. So if you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to know about an expungement, what can be expunged, she's here to have a conversation with you if you want to pick up the material and get the information to take back to somebody that may need it, that's available. And we also have my best friend Renee Ramsey, who is here and serving as our voters registration person on today.
Okay.
So if you are in the building and not registered at 18, or if you're here and you have some soon-to-be 18-year-olds and you understand the importance of voting, we have the forms here for you and some brochures here. If you're not registered and want to fill out the form, you can do that today as well, and we will get them mailed off. Okay?
All right.
So we're not going to prolong any longer. We're going to stop and pause for a moment so that we can start to eat. Because I haven't had breakfast this morning, and I don't know if you all have, but it is time for us to take a feast. The food has been blessed by our pastor. So at this time, we have our ladies that will be serving on the buffet line over to your left, okay? So let's take a pause, grab a plate, and then we'll come back and finish up.
All right. Let's see if I can fix this here. Perfect. Thank God for technology. Woohoo! That's right. That's right. Yeah. Sit there right there and I ain't got to move it. All right. This is very good information.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So we can set up some things. So you can learn how to do the iron wrist and all that kind of stuff, the EPO grip and all those things.
I do it myself.
Put them in the chicken wing when you grab your
Yeah,
pocketbook.
I can throw the Clorox in what you call it, lawyer. But I throw it, I need to be able to do something after that. I'm getting my sister and I told Lisa, I'm getting my sister and myself ready because we eat ours by ourselves.
You all right, darling?
Lisa.
You all right? I keep my eyes on you now. I gotta keep my eyes on you. If you fall again, I'm gonna just fall on the floor and let you fall on top of me and hit the ground.
I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, ladies always first. Yes. Ladies and children first.
Nice. Hey, he looks like his mom. Ever since he was born, he looks like his mom. And he got so
You okay? Anybody can say,
Thank you, sir.
You can come and sit by your honey? Yes.
I have to.
No,
Was somebody sit here? He sit here.
yeah, he was sitting here. Get your chair.
He's still alive.
That's still we had it for.
He look like it's alive.
Yeah. Oh, still. Push this one over.
Yeah, I can.
Sit here, bit right here. Talk about yeah, you was sitting right here. You thought that talking.
Those juniors and seniors that's getting ready to. Yes.
I need to learn how to make shrimp and grits. Well,
Yeah, the way Sister Jeanette, I like it.
It'd be
It'd
good.
be dark. Yeah, it'd be good.
How you say so little? tell me the secret.
I
Tell me
don't
the secret.
know.
You don't do it every day, right?
I know.
Yeah. Always. It'd be good. I don't know what she do in it, but it's like a thick gravy. I love it. How did Mack work out? How did it work? It's already done been tied at the stores?
No, Thursday. They're doing it Thursday.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking in my mind, studying, where he is. Where he is now. And I saw you and Pastor was relaxed. I said, he must be okay. So I was looking at y'all to me and I said, oh.
Put that so that way. Yeah, it's still over that way. I'm gonna get something and set it on.
What?
That right there.
Now, you knew I was going to have you sitting over there by yourself. You know that. You help him with the babies. That's so good. He's just a good granddaddy, though, but he's good. He's a good daddy. Them girls love him. You ever no fruit? Oh.
You're picking here. He eat junk. That's why you get junk food.
Somebody fasting today?
Yeah.
Without praying, you just fast,
He
right?
already ate.
You already ate?
Mine I cooked for him.
Okay. Perfect. Trainings and workshops, things of that nature. Really blessed with this congregation, blessed with this community. Almost like maybe between 6:30 and 7:45. All right.
send me emails, call me, let me know, hey, I said something important. If not, my phone, I'll get it. But the story is good. All right. This is the
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. We have our next presenter here for you all. Let's give a hand clap again for our presenters from the Sheriff's Office. They did a wonderful job. Thank you so very much. Our next presenter is going to be our very own Councilman Johnny Wright Sr. of District 1. You talk to the Holly Hill there. Mr. Johnny Wright is a dedicated public servant and long-time elected official of the Orangeburg County Council. First elected to represent District 1 in 1994, he has served the communities of Utahville, Holly Hill, and Vance for over 2 decades. In 2009, he was elected chairman of the Orangeburg County Council, a role he has held for 14 years before being re-elected once again in 2023 to continue serving as chairman for another term. He's a native of Utahville, South Carolina. Chairman Wright graduated from Holly Hill Roberts High School in 1964. He furthered his education at Trident Technical College, earning an associate's degree in business business management, and a diploma in radio and television. He has also completed a 4-year apprenticeship in electric technology at the Charleston Naval Shipyard, where he later retired as production controller, scheduling supervisor. Beyond his government service, Chairman Wright is a successful small business owner, a proud Vietnam veteran, a lifelong advocate for his community. He is a life member of the NAACP and has served as president of South Carolina Association of Counties Board of Directors, 2020 to 2021, along with holding membership in numerous organizations and boards. Chairman Wright is happily married to his wife, Vernell W. Wright. Together they have 6 children and 14 grandchildren. I present to some, introduce to others, Councilman Johnny Wright of District 1.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mack. I really appreciate that. I say good morning to you, first giving honor to God, who's always the head of my life. His guidance, that's what I live for. And to the pastor of this great church and the First Lady, and to all officers and all any other pastors and friends, everyone else. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the opportunity to serve, and I always say that I appreciate those who support me in their prayers very, very much. There's a lot this morning you can say about Orangeburg County. I don't know when she said, I want you to know, I want to know what's happening in Orangeburg County. Let me start with first to say this. We have 7 council persons on the board. You have 7 districts. By law, you have to serve the same amount of people in each district, and that means plus or minus 5%. So what that means? I mean, my district may have even $14,500. This may have even $13,500. Try to every 10 years you realign that to try to get maximize of that. People who live in the rural area, they probably have a larger district than those who live in the city area. I think about 3.5 of the person that's on the board to represent most of the greater Orangeburg area and those around the area. Those of us out in the rural area, then it's different. And before I continue, let me say that this is District 2 I'm in now, so I hope that Mr. Rowland represents this district. But the young lady asked me to come, I didn't know. I hope he knows about this.
Well, the website said that you commented.
Well, the website, okay.
Okay.
Well, I still have been mad. Okay? I ain't got no problem with that. I just don't want people, sometimes people, the other council people get a little personal about this. But I am the chair. So as long as I am the chair, I come from that perspective. And I am elected, the way we work that, we elect chair every 2 years. So I have been elected by my peers every 2 years since 2001. I was reelected this past January to serve the next 2 years as a chairperson. So that's where I'm at now. Having said that, the county council themselves, I can sit up here and talk about a lot of different things and all the different, I'll just say a few things that what the county does. I have some brochures that I'll pass out. I don't know if I have a copy for everyone. The church can certainly run copies. It has a list of all the departments that the county does. It's a whole lot of things that the county does. And the next thing comes up is a lot of people will call me up and they're all upset about the road or something like that. And they will say, first thing they will say is, I pay tax. And you know, and I said, I understand that. You know, and I want to say something about trade tax with you, but I don't say that. But let me say this. For every dollar that you pay in tax, the county only gets 33% of that. So if you pay $100 in tax, the county takes $33 and do all these services that provided by the county. And it's a whole lot. Okay? The rest of it goes to educate the children, the school. All the rest of it goes to school. So I think people should know that and understand that, because when you take that 33% out of every dollar, that you have to do EMS, sheriff department, jail, animal control, road maintenance, you know, and I got a list of all the stuff that's on here. There's a whole lot of stuff the county council does with that 33. That can be real challenging. Sometimes that you can't get everything you want. Sometimes you have to push down the line a little further. Orangeburg County is the largest rural county in the state of South Carolina. is the second largest land county in the state. Horry County, where Myrtle Beach is the largest, Orange River County is the second largest, Berkeley is the third largest, and kind of going down the line. But why I'm saying that, well, what's significant is that we are the largest in land, but not population, and that makes a big difference because we have a large area to keep up in rural county. But money's come into the county from the state part of it, where you get so much money from state, and it's all based on numbers. So people don't realize how important the census is when they don't fill out the census form because they think somebody getting their business. Well, they already do. We already take out. But what you're doing is every time the census is counted every 10 years, and for every person that you do not count in the county, it's $1,200 some dollars every for each person that's missing that you don't get money back from the state for. And that's going on for 10 years. So you go into thousands of dollars, millions of dollars sometimes, if you do not fill out that census form. Because the last census, they said, well, Orangeburg County lose people. So by the census saying we lose people, because a lot of people probably didn't sign up and the pandemic was going on when that happened, we lose money coming back from the state and federal level because they only send by the number that they read on that thing. Okay, so you had 90,000 people, now you got 89.5, well, we take that money back because if you can't get it, you're not going to pay. And all of your bills are paid. There's a formula. That's why the county is always trying to put a lot of money in infrastructure like land, water, sewer, and other things to try to entice industry to come. Because the formula is your millage is based on the amount of capital value that you have. Capital means like houses and businesses and anything like that. That's how they do the millage. So we're in between Columbia, which is Richmond County, fastest growing in Lexington, Berkeley, Dorchester, Charleston. We're in kind of the middle. And people come and say, why we can't have so and so in Charleston? They got less land to keep up with, but they got 5 times as much capital that industry, all this kind of stuff. We have. That means when I got on council back 30 years ago, our mill is one mill for us was just like worth like $90-some thousand for a mill. We went up, we keep going up and going up, and I was just doing the budget right now. I think we finally, with some of the growth and stuff, we up to $300-some thousand for a meal. Well, a meal in Charleston is $1.5 million. One in Dorchester is almost $1 million. So what does that mean? And you might not can understand all those. Maybe I'm getting too technical for you, but I'm just going over some things. That means if we needed 5 sheriff deputies, I want 5 more people. I need 5 more people. By the time you equip them with a car and the uniform and the pay them and all this kind of stuff, you're talking almost $100,000 for one for all this stuff. Well, you can only get about 3 out of your bill. Charleston wanted 5. They can take their bill and get $15, $20.
And that's why banks will have one now. One time we used to have one. You don't have any now, right?
What?
Banks.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Talking about sheriff.
Yeah, office, yeah.
Well, we don't have a police officer. That's what they have sheriff.
Yeah.
The sheriff have a form that they cover so much.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So much of that.
All right.
They do. But you know, people will say, well, we ain't got enough animal control, we ain't got enough shit. They ain't never get enough. And here's where I'm at with that. I remember for people who at my age, young people can relate to this, for people who close to my age, back in the time when I was young, the whole county had 1 or 2 road clubs. People just ran, they used to come and pull people out of the boards because they bogged down in their road. They had to put bricks in the road and all that. We have advanced so far, we don't have none of that. But it's still in us. Because everybody knows the road here. And you can't everybody. I mean, you're working on it. So I've been on council, I can't tell you how much, I guess, I don't want to do the figure, but I mean, there's been a lot of road paved. But it's still just a dent because it's a large group of county. And get this now, it costs us. It used to be one time you could pave a mile of country road for like $200,000. Now it costs in excess of $400,000. I mean, with 230,000 to pave 1 mile of road. Folks don't understand it. You got to put this on it, put that on it, how wide the cost of asphalt is. It ain't just that simple. Because, you know, say you go out and do that road, it costs a lot of money.
So it's not wasting more money if you just patch it up. The road, you know that they'll hold here and patch it up. But they're gonna,
It's not a matter of wasting the money, it's a matter of having the resources that you can really pay for. You don't have it. I mean, even counties that are much richer than us don't have it, but the point is they have less area to cover. We got a lot of area to cover. And you do so much every year, and that's why a lot of times I tell people, okay, be patient. And a lot of folks who used to call me up and talk about it and curse me out, the road is paved. But the point is, it wasn't there, it didn't get there when they wanted. See what I'm saying? So I used to always say, one guy told his wife, well, you know what my husband said, that road ain't never get, I ain't gonna say the word. It ain't never get done. So when it did get there, I said, Miss Johnson, what did your husband say? Well, he didn't say much. It's a thankful job. Okay, it's a thankful job. But going from that, the county is improving every day. Now I think we're in the middle of a situation where they come in on us. So they can't go no place else. They shop and fill up and they coming up to the way.
Yeah.
And then Columbia's coming this way. So we just got to be patient with, they got to come. That's why all these housing projects want to build all these other things. So we're trying to make sure that we get industry to go along with it. Because the other part of it is that a lot of people don't understand is when they say that, you know, they pay tax for the road and stuff like that. Industry pays probably 80% of the amount of money for school building and all these other stuff. Your tax is just like the other part of it. Your home tax take up probably 30-40% of it, if that. All of it comes from other things like businesses. But businesses pay more tax than you pay. The city is different. You know, if you got homestead exemption, people who are 65 years or older, you apply for homestead exemption. The first $50,000 your home is exempt. If your home ain't worth no more than $50,000, you don't pay no property tax. For anything else, you pay how much is over that. But businesses pay 6%, and even like people like myself who got small business and all that, you pay a lot more tax, twice as much as a person's house if you build a house, because of how formal it is and because of how the state law is structured. So there is, I think, if everyone had a good working knowledge of how the tax structure works, I've found through all the years that I've done this, if I get the individual and sit down and talk, I'm talking to you all and explain things over there, they're a lot less clear to understand where I'm coming from. and you find that 75% of them, they understand, and but then you got 25, 30% of them, they don't want what they want. They ain't hear what you say, you're full of it. Yeah, that's just how the system works. But I've learned that through the years of being a public servant, and I do not take it personally. I do not. I always, people call me all upset, I take it personally. My brother was with me one time, and he was listening to somebody going on, and I hung up. He said to me, "I know you can put up with that. You know what it is." I said, "Well, I said people, they mean that. Listen, I've been cursed." I said, "You can't do that. You can't do that because but God gave us all a different gift to do certain things. Right. I am truly." I'm truly committed to people. My times when they go folks they are not here now, but I have been grateful for the time that I've served on council, and I'd like to feel that I've made some difference. Maybe not as much as some people wanted to, but I've tried to do what's right. And I think the county have moved in the right direction without any scandals and all that kind of stuff, because people will put you in the paper. They will call me up and say, "You can't do this and do that." I said, "Yeah, man, when I do something I shouldn't do, when they read the paper, you shouldn't know that." That's how we are. So I try to do what's right, and I try to do the best I can, and I'm honest with you. I am truly transparent to you. When you call me, if I can help you, I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you something just to make you feel good, to get you off the phone, knowing that I cannot do that. So that's what it is. But the county itself, again, I'm just trying to give you a little background on how the county government works. We work with the legislative delegations of the state on certain issues. We always try to keep in touch with them and try to pass certain laws that will be beneficial to the county as a whole. There's a lot of things that's going to be changing, and I don't know if it'll change back. And people always say the election has a consequence. Why I say that? Because the present administration that we have now, there's a lot of trickle-down things coming down. We work with an organization they have called Law Savannah Council of Government. They are based in Aiken, but they represent 9 counties. There's about 6 of them in the entire state. And they do a lot of different things like that. County Wheels on Meals, and a lot of older programs to help people repair their houses and other things like that. The administrator came to the last council meeting and was talking about how much the Trump administration has cut all those things that we will not be getting because they cut it. And that's going to hurt, because when people come to the county and they say, "Well, we want such a thing," the fund's not going to be there. But, hopefully that shall pass. But when it passed, sometimes they've done so much damage, it'll take years for it to get back to where it should be. So we have to understand how that is. We're here now, so we can't cry on spilled milk. But I would just say to people who don't think it's important that they vote, newsflash, it is. Your vote always counts, no matter if it goes your way or not. Yeah, that makes a big difference. You have to encourage people how important that is, and also encourage them on how important it is for their sort of the census and a lot of other things like that. I will allow y'all to ask me questions because I can talk on about all kinds of things that go on in the county. I can give you data, statistics, but I do have some of these to pass out, and what this is that it'll tell you who the council members are, the district that they represent. It will list some of the projects that we got going on in the county as a whole, and it'll tell you what county council does. It'll tell you about the county, all its structure, all that. It'll tell you about the county council. It'll tell you what are the duties of the county council. And I just felt for me to read all those, you ain't gonna know it anyway. I read them, but you keep them, you read yourself, you can go over it home. So I don't want to sit up here and blab lot of good information. I have a few books back there also about the county that the Chamber of Commerce has printed, and they have a lot of information in there about the county. And I also have a list of 6 pages of all the county services and their phone numbers that you can call if you need whatever service you might want. And there's a lot of services that the county does. You'd be surprised how much things the county does with that 33 cent a dollar that you pay. It's a whole lot, but it's appreciative. But what I keep saying that because what I want you to understand is that there ain't no free lunch. And when you get your tax notice sometime and they have to go up on the rate, you mean, man, you know, this other go down. Well, let me say this, and then on another note, I'm talking about money. The road plows that scrape your road, before the pandemic, we reload those leases on those road plows every 5 years. And before the pandemic, those road plows sell for $275,000 a piece, and we used to get leases and pay like 1% interest and all that. Well, the last time the pandemic came and we had to renew the lease, those same road plows cost $500,000. That's how they done doubling price. It's like cars, you know, you see how much cars have went up. Well, all equipment has done the same thing. This is what like heavy equipment. Heavy equipment is well. Bulldozers that used to cost $500,000, now they're over $1 million or over $1 million. Depends on what it is. And the interest rate on this is like 7.5%, 8% that you pay every year compound. Why am I saying all that? That means that it has to be paid. You have to balance the budget. Whenever you say, I got my budget for the year, we have to have our budget completed by July 1st every year. The budget there goes from July 1st to June the 30th. And if you say you're going to spend $50 million, then you have to show where that $50 million comes from. And for all those equipment that, you know, you could get, you could do a whole lot of other stuff with it, but that money, now you got to put it in different places. So that's what you're dealing with. There's a lot of information you can get. I will stop and I'll entertain questions. If I can answer questions, I'll answer. If I can't, I'll try to get back to you. But certainly I would say that I appreciate the opportunity to serve. I appreciate Mack asking me to come, and I told her certainly anytime somebody asks me to do something, if I can do it, I'm willing to do it. Trust me. Any questions?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
If someone is aspiring to perhaps get into politics like yourself, you know, how would they get started in trying to pursue a career in politics?
Well, I would. That's a good question, and I think we need young people to get in there because I would say the first thing you study stuff, you read stuff, and you start going to meetings. You know, you start gathering information. A lot of times people come where they need to just say, well, you know, I want to be so and so and so. It's better to try to understand how the system works. Try to gather information, go to meetings, be humble, ask questions, things like that. And then you know if that's something you want to do because you always got to have somebody to serve. And I tell people, I says, I'm hoping to be somebody young enough and have, but you got to be committed. You got to have the mind to want to serve people, not just a title. That's the problem with a lot of people. Or not to get in there to get it with you for yourself. You know, as Martin Luther King said, not to heck with you, do it with you people. That's what you have to try to do. So that's a good question, and I hope that more people, more young people get involved. I know they communicate different from us. And we are concerned citizens changing a lot of things. We got some young folks now running it because young people, their attention span is very limited stuff. They get bored with it. And we know that that's why I like to talk to my other people. I'm not confused. You got the whole there. You preach, you know what I'm talking about. You're an AME preacher. I'm Baptist. They're short, but they know how we are. But my point is that they communicate with these devices. Facebook, texting, and all things of that nature, you know. Back in the day, you can always, some of my peers asked me, said, well, how are you going to do that to do? I said, I thank God every day. I said, I work at radio. I was back, they started with computers back in the late 80s. And they had a lot of glitches there. But I stuck with it, and I transferred on. I said, because I could not represent the way I do it if I didn't know how to text, and I didn't know how to email, and I didn't know how to do it. Because that's what they want. And that's how they communicate. So we have to transform ourselves too to get to that. But even doing that, you still need to know what's going on. You still need to be going to good meetings. You still need to be supportive. You still need to understand that. And when there are things going wrong, we'll get these somebody complain about stuff that's not going the way they want to go, but they don't have a solution. I've had people go out there, tell me what you think I should do, and I'll carry it over. I said, anytime I talk to people, I always tell them, if you know a better way for me to do my job, you tell me, and I'll listen. And I'm sincere when I say that, because I will. So it's like, you do anything that I can do, because you can always learn from somebody. My dad taught us that.
That's it.
I understand people's differences. I understand diversity. Not because politics has taught me a lot about people being there, but I also came up with that. My mom had 16 of us. I had 12 brothers. And we were all different. My mom died back in 1961. I was 14 years old. And Dad, she died in March. Dad remarried in September to my stepmom, and she had 4 children. She was 12 years younger than him. She had 3 more biological kids with me. I have a lot of siblings. So I can tell you about that. I'm coming to the same game. They're all different. And then I got in politics, and I was in there a long time. But then I got in church. I used to be, when I was going to my church, I was around Q.O. Everett was there. And I used to be, I was a shared deacon. And you can learn a lot. So life has taught me a lot about people. And I speak a lot of times from my experience in life. About 3 months, I'll be 79 if I live to see it. And God's been good, and I'm grateful. So, any more questions?
Well, I'm just making a comment. You need to get off your back about the cutting of the trees and coming back there trying to pave some roads, right? You need to get off your back about cutting some trees and paving the road, right?
Hey, we working that fast as we can. All I can tell you, the fellow said, if you don't put your name on the list, you ain't got a chance. When you put your name on the list, you might get it. I got one advocate person in there, I mean, he was advocating for the road, he finally got it. He might have given what he wanted, but he got it. And that was, how many years ago now? About 5, 6?
Since the road was paved?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started in 77, really, when I wrote the
Well, that was before my time, so that was before my time, but that was so it is what it is.
It's been 30 years. My father was working trying to get our road paved back in 15.
Yeah.
In about 30 years.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of them are they got certain criteria to go by. People don't understand that either. There's a lot of criteria too. So it is what it is. Don't matter what you can do. But knowing this is that if I took it personal, I could not have served obviously that case. Okay. I have to know how to do the best I can to cut it off. Any other questions? If not, again, I have some handouts and some books back there that I pass out. I don't think I have one for everybody. One of those things, but you can run copies off and continue doing it. Yeah.
And I'm
Thank you all.
Thank y'all for spending time with me this wonderful Saturday. You learn something new every day. Because I thought we was District 1.
The Lloyd runs down 210.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
to the left, green, and to the right, Johnny. It's redrawn every 10 years.
so I need to call that the county for them to fix the website.
Well, you can call it county as well, but I need to look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got you as District 1.
I am District 1.
Okay. And they got Holly Hill, Utah, in the thing.
It is.
Okay.
Just because it's, I got all Holly Hill doing right now, but because of the addresses might be a little different because your mailing address is just like if you live on the county line road. On the right hand side, county line, on the line, definitely like but everybody get their mail is crossed. And so that may be a little confusing. One guy we really care about that all the time. But don't worry about it, it's all good.
Well, thank you, Councilman Rout, for writing for your information. Okay, so everybody is eating a little snack. Don't get sleepy on us yet. We got just a little bit more of information to give to you all, okay? So now we are going to have a quick civics lesson. I'm going to run through this as quickly as I can. If you have any questions, please stop me. I am not a civics teacher. A lot of this stuff I learned as I was putting this together. And the one thing that I want you all to, the two things that I want you all to take away from this event and this experience is that everybody has a boss. We vote, we are the bosses. So everybody has a voice. The other thing is it's all about relationship. Being a person in this global world that we're living in, it is all about building relationships with one another in order to take care of this world that we're living in. So those are the two takeaways that I would like each and every one of you to take away with you when you leave this building. Everybody has a boss, and that it's about building relationships. So I had a nice little PowerPoint that I put up this morning, but I'm Italian, and I'll print the PowerPoint out for the members of the church if you want a copy, and I'll send it to the secretary so she can make it available on the website or Facebook if that's okay. Okay, so the first thing is there are 3 branches of government, all equal governing bodies. So what that means is you have your judicial branch, where that is the lawmakers. You have your legislative branch, which creates the laws. That's your House of Representatives and your senators. You have your judicial branch, which is your Supreme Court. And then you have your executive force, which enforces the laws. That's on the federal level. On your state level, you have the judicial branch, which is the municipal courts and the general session courts. The legislators are the city councils and the county councils, and the executive branch are your mayors, your lieutenant governors, and your state cabinet members. Now we're saying that they're all equal governing bodies, which means everybody has a job to do. So whatever your job is, if you make shoes and I wear shoes, then I shouldn't be over here telling you how to make shoes, and you shouldn't be telling me what outfit your shoes that you made go with. Okay? So everybody has a job to do. Your vote matters. Why? I remember in high school, I had a sociology teacher, Mr. Mack, and he allowed us to watch The Eye on the Prize. And there was one story that I remember that encourages me and reminds me of why my vote matters and why it is important for me to have a voice. And that is the story of Emmett Lewis Till, a 14-year-old boy who came down to visit his Uncle Moses in Money, Mississippi. Emmett Till came down, him and some cousins went to town, and it said that he whistled or had some contact with a white woman, which we now know in 2025 was a lie. Later that night, because of what this woman said to her husband and her brother, they went with the mob to the uncle's house and they dragged a 14-year-old child out of his uncle's house in Money, Mississippi. They took him to Drew, Mississippi in August 28th of 1995. They tortured him, they mutilated him, They kidnapped him and then they murdered him. And I will never forget, as a 16-year-old girl, what impact that story should have on each and every one of us that sit in this room. Whether we're black, white, green, orange, yellow. That story, the fact that two men could take a 14-year-old child from the comfort of his uncle and torture and disfigure and mutilate a child to his death should be a reason enough for none of us to sit down and never vote. Your voice matters. Your voice matters because you have a say in what happens in the communities you live in and the world that you're having children in and raising a family in. Your voice matters. Your voice matters because you get to decide who represents you. You're the one that pays your taxes and pay their salary. So you get to tell them what to do, when to do, and how to do it. But what happens? We vote and we sit down. Part of the voting process is not only just going to the polls when it's time to vote for a president. You also need to be making sure that you're going to the midterms. You need to be making sure that you're staying engaged in your community, that you're going to county council meetings, that you're going to school board meetings. Because even though you don't have a child in school, somebody that you know has a child in that school and connected to you. You are the stakeholders of that community. Only $33 goes to the county. I want to go check on the rest of my dollar. I need to go and check on the rest of my money. So part of being an active voter is being engaged in your community. Not just going in that box and casting your vote, but also find out, what are they doing for me? And if they're not doing the things that you expect them to do, don't be afraid to vote them out. A lot of times we get comfortable voting for people that we're in relationship with, and we know because they sit next to us in church on a Sunday morning, or they're in our family, or mama and them has always voted for them, so I'm gonna vote for them. But you need to ask yourself, did you do your research on this candidate and all the candidates running? Be your own voice. Don't listen to mama and them all the time when it comes to voting. Because mama and them don't want to change for the better. Mama and them are comfortable with the way things have always been and don't understand that we're living in an ever-evolving world. So be engaged. I encourage you. I empower you. We're in a time where some of us are frightened about waking up tomorrow because we have no idea what's going to befall us. We have no understanding of the things and the consequences that our voting action has. And some of us are frightened. So this whole meeting today was to empower each and every one of you to use your vote as your voice and become engaged in your community. And if your vote wasn't nothing, if it wasn't worth you waking up for, if it wasn't worth Emmett Till dying for, then why are they trying to steal them? Let's think about it. If something has no value and it means nothing, then why are they working so hard to steal something? A criminal only steals something that they find value in. So you do not lose your voice. I don't care who it is, if you don't like the person running, because you don't like the shirt they have on, if you don't like the hairstyle they have, it is not a popularity contest. These people are deciding your future. So all I'm encouraging you is to vote and become engaged. That is why your vote matters. Some of our concerning issues, there's two that I want to hit on. One is the budget bill that Councilman Wright spoke on, that is in the House, has been passed by the House by one vote. Y'all just one vote. It got passed by one vote, 3 people died. It got passed by one vote because 3 people died. That's something we can talk about later on when we talk about term limits. For these people that are older than us that's still sitting there, some of them can't remember what they had for breakfast 2 seconds ago, but they're still sitting there making decisions on behalf of us. Okay? So, that one big, beautiful bill that could be so harmful to so many people passed the House and the city and the Senate because of one vote. I want y'all to remember that, one vote. That bill is set to add a $4 trillion deficit to our budget for this country. I can't afford $4 trillion. I have a hard time finding $4 sometimes. $4 trillion added to money that we already owe people that are becoming our enemies daily. Any cuts made are going to be to social programs that are going to be beneficial to our seniors and our children, the most vulnerable population of our society, our seniors and our children. And if you think your vote doesn't matter, you wait until grandma can't get her medicine because Medicaid is no longer offered to her. And grandma can't get it off her income because her Social Security has been either cut or wiped out. $723 billion reduction is what's going to be coming from this bill towards Medicaid. Think about the children whose parents work but can barely make ends meet to pay rent that need their vaccinations. Now they can't go to the clinic and get it. One, because Medicaid is not offering those shots. Or 2, because you don't have a clinic in your area to take your child to, and you can't afford to go to the doctor. So even though you think that, oh, that has nothing to do with me, it doesn't matter, I'll be okay, ask yourself, will you be okay? If you work and you have private insurance, there's some part of Medicaid that pays for your insurance on your job. Also, there will be cuts to the SNAP program. More costs will be pushed to the states. We live in South Carolina. Need I say more? Our education is not where it could be. Our roads are not where they could be. So if you're telling South Carolina they got to fix their roads, which is $400,000, and they have to provide Medicaid now, or they have to provide money for SNAP benefits, where are they going to get it from if the federal government is not going to give it to them? So these are the things that we should be thinking about when we're voting and when we're looking at our candidates. The other concern is the SAVE Act, which is Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. You're supposed to have documented proof of U.S. citizenship. Remember our real IDs that they were pushing us to get with the red star? Well, those IDs, you had to have more detailed documents to prove that you were a citizen here in order to get that gold star on your ID. Versus just going to the DMV with 1 or 2 documents to show that you were a citizen. Well, your real ID is what they're going to be looking for. And they're going to want whatever is on your ID card to match up with what other documents that they're going to be asking for you to provide whenever you're a registered voter. And if those 2 pieces of information do not line up, your voter status could be challenged. Yet again, we are consequences of our voting actions. So married women, you gotta ask your husband, doesn't matter if I change my name on my ID? I'm just asking. Just saying. Every morning I listen to Urban View, channel 126 on Sirius XM. The late Joe Madison had one question whenever we were frustrated about government and we wanted to talk about how things weren't working out for us in the government. What are you going to do about it? So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to first start reaching out to our representatives. You have your senators, you have your House of Representatives, you have your councilmen. We're going to start calling. We're going to start emailing. We're going to start texting. However it is, we can get in contact with these people. We're going to start representing and calling these people and saying, hey, how you doing? I don't appreciate what's going on with our government at this time, and y'all need to fix it. Not only are you calling the ones that you voted for, but you're calling the other ones too and say, hey, I didn't vote for you, but I need you to get up and do something about how our government is falling apart. We hired you to say something, and now is the time that we need you to open your mouth and say something. We don't need you to be quiet because you're benefited. We need you to speak on our behalf. We are fortunate enough here in the AME Church that our bishop has assigned us a task. And that task is to mail in letters. So every month, we'll be getting a letter like this one. And you do not have to be an AME Church member. You can be mom, call outside. You can be anybody over 18 that you can get to sign this letter and read over it and what it stands for, discussing particular issues that are important and are going to impact us as a community. These letters are to be signed by everyone over 18, turned into the social action liaison. We'll get them to the pastor, and then the pastor will get them to the bishop so they can be mailed off. So we're asking all Mount Olive members that are here and anyone that's in this room and would like a copy of this letter to read over it, sign it and return it to us today so that we can get this started and get them to the bishop so we can start contacting our representatives to let them know the things that we are not pleased with. The resources. If you look on the back of your flyers, I have put a few resources on the back of the flyers for you. SD Votes, which is the South Carolina State Election Commission out of Columbia, that website will give you everything you need to know and understand about voting. Any questions that you may have, any concerns that you may have, you can check your voter's registration to make sure that you are still a registered voter. You can learn how to vote. You can print a voting form and become a registered voter on there. If you want to know about elections and how we perform in this county or in the state, that information is also available. The next thing is the 5 Calls app. So anyone whose phone comfort, like you, I have my phone for everything and anything. There's an app that's on this phone, and it's called 5 Calls app. It's a blue app, and if you go to that app, it'll give you a script of what you can say to your representative when you call them. It'll also pull up your representative information and give you the number that you can call along with the script of what to say according to the topic that you want to discuss with your representative. The other resource that I gave you is also the South Carolina State House website. That website has everything about the bills that are in the state representative in the State House, anything that they're going to vote on, anything that any resolutions that they're proposing, all that information is there. It has all your representatives there and what districts they serve. That website has your laws and any question that you have about a law. Anytime that you all get a moment, to some of the older folk in the room, call the grandkids over to the house and say, hey, let's look at this website right here and find out what's going on. Not only do you get to bond with them and hang out with them and have them think you're a cool person, but you can learn something together as a family. In closing, remember the 2 things that I would like for you all to leave with. Everybody has a boss, and when you cast your vote, you are the boss. And it's all about building relationships with one another. It does not start the day you vote for president. It starts when you wake up in the morning and you live somewhere. If you just visit the school and find out what they may need for you to assist them with. If you visit your local church and find out what fundraisers they're having, what for the community. Reach out and try to help them. The NAACP, whatever organization you can become attached to try to help out in the community, that's where it starts. You build those relations at home so they can go out and do great things in the world. Once again, we have the letter. If anybody wants a copy of the letter, we're asking that you read over it and sign it and return it to us before you leave. And we also have Ms. Renee Ramsey, who is our on-site voters registration personnel, if you are not a registered voter. Now, I know we all should be, and there's no judgment if you aren't, but we have the opportunity for you to get registered today. Are there any questions? None? I'm always here, I'm always available, and I'm always willing to serve in any capacity that you all may need me in anytime. So if there are no questions at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Heirs Property.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thank you guys for allowing us to speak to you today. We're incredibly honored to be here to even get our message out to you guys. Initially, I would like to second that what Ms. Mack said. Please, if you're not registered to vote, it is incredibly important to be a voter. It's important, like we've heard before today, elections do have consequences. But now to more of what we do. So my name is Gino Consolito, and I have here David Courtois with me. We're employees for the Center for Heirs Property Preservation. I'm an attorney and David is a forester. We're both going to kind of give you a presentation based on what we do, what our offices do. The packet, you guys probably have it. Most of what I'll talk about, I'm going to speak very briefly. I'm not going to go over everything in this packet. This is more of the legal side of what we do. Now, our organization has been in existence since 2005. It is a nonprofit based in Charleston, South Carolina. Since then, we've expanded and now have offices in Orangeburg, right off St. Paul Street, right next to the courthouse. We have an office in Florence, which is the office that I manage. We also have an office in Columbia now as well as of last year. So just very briefly regarding the heirs property and the legal side of it. To begin with, does anyone have any experience dealing with probate? Is probate something that you're familiar with or know how it works? Because we have some people who know what probate is. I like to start off with just giving a basic outline of how probate functions and how that deals with the heirs property. When someone in South Carolina passes away, any property that they own, whether it's land or personal property like clothing or furniture, anything like that, especially land and other things that have titles to them, like vehicles, anything that's a vehicle, usually the only way to transfer the ownership of that property is to go through the process of probate. Probate is initiated at the courthouse in the county in which that person lived when they passed away. Now, probate can be guided by two different sets of rules. One, if you have a will, your probate will be guided by that will, if that will is done correctly. If you do not have a will, you can still do probate, but your probate is going to be guided by the background laws of the South Carolina Probate Code. So South Carolina will determine where your property goes if you don't have a will. Either way, most of the time your property does have to go through the probate process. In South Carolina, on the day that someone passes away, their family has 10 years from that day to go to the probate court and open probate on their loved one. That is a strict 10-year statute of limitations, and if you do not do that within 10 years, you can no longer probate. So we're getting closer to what heirs property is. If you are in a situation where you have property and it is still legally in the name of a grandfather or a grandmother or a mother or father, and that person passed away 13 years ago, and no one has done probate, Well, if you're applying for a mortgage, you need to have your name on that property. So you go to try to go to probate, and the probate court tells you, well, no, it's been past 10 years. There's nothing you can do here with us right now. That is the issue of heirs property. Heirs property is created when you have a piece of property that was owned by someone who was deceased, and that person has been deceased for more than 10 years without having a probate court. And when you have heirs property like that, it's legally defined as being unmarketable and uninsurable. It's unmarketable because you can't guarantee that you're the only owner of that property because the name on it is still your grandfather's name. It's not insurable because an insurance company is not going to insure a property owned by someone who passed away 50 years ago. Those are the main issues that are accompanied by heirs property. It's tough to prove it's yours because you don't have a deed that's in your name, and it's tough to insure, especially with the storms that come through here or with wildfires. It's really important to have property insurance on your property. In order to do that, you have to have clear title. Clear title means that you have this piece of property and the owner or owners to it are alive. Do I have any questions so far? That's like a basic level that I would like to convey about each property. Yes, sir.
I do have one question. In fact, I'm a child of family members of heirs property.
Okay.
And we had like some 40 acres of land, which I grew up on. And my father, we lived on the land, but that never belonged to one particular person. So it started with my father's grandmother. She passed away, then all the children passed away, and so on and so on and so on. So now, really, there's no one owner of this 40 acres of land. So is there a way to try to figure out how to untangle that mess so that we won't have that issue going on to the next generation, trying to figure out who's going to be responsible for the taxes being paid?
Yeah.
But no one person owns the land. No one person will be able to own that land. So how do we get out of that mess?
Yeah, so it's at that point, if probate had not been done on the original owner, it's too late to do probate, but there are other ways to do it. Mm-hmm. There are two other actions in particular. One's called a determination of heirs action, and that's for property that has not been in the state of heirs property for too long. If the original owner still has immediate heirs that are living, then you can go forward with an action like that. If it's been a few generations since the original owner passed away, you have what's called a quiet title action. And the reason that a probate, a petition to determine heirs, and a quiet title action all do the same thing, they make sure that the end result of those actions is that there is a deed in existence at the courthouse outlining who the owners of the property are right now as they're living. The barrier to the difference between a regular probate and then the other two actions is that it's a lot more work with the other two actions. First of all, you have to have an attorney represent you in those actions, because at some point you're going to have a hearing before a judge. With probate, 95% of the time, it's mostly filing the correct paperwork with the probate court, and you never even really see the judge. If you file the correct death certificates and deeds and birth certificates of all the parties involved, you're never even going to see a judge, and that process is probably going to take 6 to 9 months to complete. It's very inexpensive. You don't have to be a lawyer to do it. With property that has been in heirs property for a period of time, South Carolina law mandates that you actually have a hearing to give testimony before a judge proving that the heirs who you allege to be the heirs are the heirs of the property and are the owners. So in order to do that, you have to have an attorney represent you. So it is possible, and that's part of what our organization does. We have attorneys on staff that represent individuals in probates, first of all, to prevent their property from turning into heirs property in the first place. Our attorneys also represent individuals in determination of heirs actions as well as quiet title actions. Private attorneys do that as well. Like if you have an attorney that you're comfortable working with, that's probably the best way to go. But our attorneys, that's mainly what we do, is we try to eliminate property from becoming heirs property in the first place, so prevention, and then we also try to get it out of that heirs property state into clear title. So there are ways to do that, for sure. The best thing, in my opinion, the best thing to do if you have a situation like that is to, in your packets, you have all of our contact information, our phone numbers, and all our physical office addresses. Even if you don't think you have heirs property, if you just have a question about property, give us a call, because you can have a 1-hour free consultation with one of our attorneys, either in office or over the phone, whatever is easier for you guys. We do have an attorney in our Orangeburg office. His name is David. He's there every day. If you guys would ever like to schedule a consultation to see him in person, you can. And he does exactly the same thing as I do. Well, a couple of things I haven't talked about yet. In addition to representing individuals in probates and the other actions, we assist individuals in drafting wills. We draft powers of attorney, different kinds of powers of attorney, so healthcare and durable. And I hate that, it's a little late for me to say this, but we had a wills clinic yesterday in Orangeburg, actually, like right near downtown. And what our wills clinics do is we have maybe 5 or 6 of our attorneys in a location where we write wills for free for individuals in the community. So we were right next to the courthouse pretty much yesterday, writing wills all day. We wrote about 20 wills. So we do that all across the state, all over throughout the year. We go to one county every month at least and pick a spot to do wills. I know that we're kind of close to Clarendon County here. We still have a Clarendon County wills clinic coming up this year. I can't tell you exactly when, but if you were interested in that, just give us a call and we'll be able to tell you exactly when that is. But even if you wanted to schedule a little drafting in our office, you can do that. It won't be free. We charge $50 for every will that we draft, and then you have a free revision after that. If you're over the age of 80 years old, you can get anything you want for free. You can get a will or any power of attorney from life. But the stipulation for that is to be over 80 or above. And that's the reason we do those types of documents, is just to, that's part of the prevention for heirs property. If you own property and you have created a will, your estate is more likely to go through the probate process, because one, you have already done a lot of the work for that person that's going to be doing that for you. You have appointed who is going to be your executor, your personal representative, so that your family doesn't have to figure that part out. You have already decided where your home, where your property, where anything that you own is going, and you can add any kind of stipulation within reason that you want to there. So that's really the main reason why we draft wills, is it helps. It doesn't guarantee that your property will not be heirs property, because it still has to go through probate. But if you've already laid out a roadmap to doing that, you're more likely to have your probate completed after you pass. In this packet, I want to talk a little bit more about the wills. So the packet's a little bit different than what I usually convey wills through. So just a little bit about wills. Everyone in South Carolina should have a will, or some kind of estate plan, trust, a will, something that disposes of your property after you pass. In order to do that in South Carolina, you have to be at least 18 years old, because you have to be 18 in the property legally. When you sign your will, it has to be witnessed by 2 people who are not party to the will, and it has to be notarized at the same time. So all of those people have to be in the same room at the same time signing that will. You have to be in the correct state of mind. You have to have standing to be able to sign that will at the time you sign it. So just a common example I use for that is some individuals who may have dementia or a disease similar to that may not always have the ability to sign a document or to legally do that, but they do have periods of clarity where they can do that. South Carolina law allows you to sign a document during that period of clarity, even if you're in a situation where you have dementia or a similar disease. And of course, it has to be in writing. It has to be in blue ink, and it has to be in writing. The actual signatures have to be in blue ink, but the entire will itself has to be in writing. I know sometimes in movies you see people have video wills and things like that. That's true in some states, and that can be even used to support intentions in a will if the judge allows it here. But the main thing is it has to be in writing. So those are some of the requirements to create a will in South Carolina. Now, I know that I talked about a lot. I hit the main points of heirs property and how to fix it, how to prevent it. If you have a specific situation or a specific question that you'd like to ask, the best setting to do that in is in a consultation with one of our attorneys. And like I said, they're free. They're at your convenience, either in our office or by telephone call. So other than that, please give us a call. And if you have any questions for me right now, I don't want to answer anyone's specific questions regarding specific properties, because I'd rather do that in a one-on-one situation. But if you have any questions broadly about what I've said today, feel free to ask them. And then following that, David Bourgeois is going to kind of talk to you about making your property more valuable and using the value of that property. Yes, ma'am.
You said you had a will and it didn't get probated. It's been some years, past 10 years. Can you tell me the supporting document that you're trying to get out of that fund?
That's a good question. So, unfortunately, after 10 years from the date of your passing, even if you had a will, that will is null and void after that 10-year period. Now, one kind of follow-up example of that, if I owned property in Orangeburg County, but I lived in New Jersey when I passed away, if my family probated my estate in New Jersey 5 years after I passed, but never did my Orangeburg estate, even if it's 30 years later, Orangeburg will accept the probate records from New Jersey, even though it's been 30 years since I passed. Probate somewhere happened for me within the 10-year period that satisfies the Orangeburg statute.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
With the will and trust, which is the better way?
That depends. It all depends. Based on someone's specific situation. I know that avoiding probate is a very good way to deal with probate. Why deal with it in the first place if you can just avoid it and go around probate? What trusts seek to do is exactly that. If you place your property into a trust, you're placing ownership of the property in that trust, so that when you pass away, in some cases, technically, that property was not owned by you. It was owned by the trust. So you don't have to go through the probate process in order for that property to transfer. Now, there are pros and cons to trust because sometimes there are worse tax situations that can arise out of using a trust as opposed to a will. In South Carolina, we don't have an estate tax. If someone passes away and leaves their family their property, we don't have an estate, we don't tax that. Now, we do have a gift tax in South Carolina, and if you place property into a trust, and then that trust gives that property to your loved ones after your passing, that could count as a gift, and your family could end up paying a gift tax on it. But, depending on your situation, if you passed away and you had incredible amounts of student debt, then maybe it's better to put that property into a trust and to let your family pay that gift tax rather than having to satisfy your millions in student debt. So it really depends on your situation. Maybe it'd be best to talk with an attorney one-on-one about what's best for you. At the very least, though, everyone should have a will. Sure. Thank you guys for letting me talk. Please give us a call if you have any further questions or specific questions. I'm going to turn it over to David now. You guys have a great afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you showing up and staying here, and I have a little problem to keep myself on task. There's a sign-up sheet somewhere here that I would like to have before I leave. I hope that everybody's signed, and that's because they send us up here and they want to know that we actually got the information out and got some education to folks. I'm holding a toolbox. Each of you has a bag that has the information that we're talking from. Some is about forestry, some is about attorneys. But I wanted to know if anybody in here, I always like to make connections. The center is turning 20 this year. And as we're turning 20, we're having some big celebrations. They started in 2005. But they're going to rebrand the center with some new branding. So they said, hey, we've got all of these pillboxes and pens and things. But if you know, if any of you are associated with the senior center, where you each have one of these in your bag, but if you're associated with the senior center, or you know someone, hey, I think this group of people could use these, I got a bag there of pillboxes, and I got another one in the truck. All these you could make use of them. So with that, I will be talking from the sheets in here. It starts with this $21 billion industry economic impact. How many people in here have driven down these country roads in Northern County and seen a log truck go by? You must have at some point seen this, because I don't live in Northern County and I've seen a lot of log trucks up here. But this is a huge industry, and it's very important to say, so what, $21 billion. First, I'd like to impress on you, our speaker earlier was talking about trillions of dollars. That's when you get up to the government level. That's not real money, that's like our tax dollars. But how many people know, if I went home and got on Amazon and I started spending $1,000 every hour, day and night, marathon, not going to stop until I go through one of these $1 billion, how long do you think it would take me to do that? No guesses. But if you do the math, it would take 112 years for me to do that. I could not live long enough to do that. That's a lot of money. And the other thing I'd like to impress on people, one, it's a lot of money. Two, that's money that's coming into Orangeburg County, coming into Vance, coming into Orangeburg, people paying taxes. If I sell $100,000 worth of timber, I'm going to pay a tax on that going to people here, schools here, roads here. If I'm the logger, I'm the guy who services the logging equipment that we talked earlier about it. Yeah, it used to cost $250,000 and now it's $500,000. Well, that's also true in the logging industry. The equipment they use to cut down trees, to load trees on trucks, to carry trees to the mill, they have those log trucks that I said to go by. They are taking a lot of money. There's tires, there's fuel. All of that money being spent is circulating around our community. That's very important for our schools, for our roads, for our quality of life going on right here. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Number one harvested crop, number one export commodity, number one manufacturing. Trees are kind of around us, so people don't really think about that. But really, this is a big deal. The next page, there's a lot of information there that you probably care little about. You know, how much area is forested. A lot of people say, oh, there's no more forest. We got more forest today than we had 100 years ago. 100 years ago, there's a lot more farming going on. And people were, 150 years ago, people were using trees to heat their houses and to stay warm and to build. And now, we're not doing that anymore. The other point I'm going to make in here is forest ownership. I like to impress on people that 88% of the South Carolina's forest land is privately owned. People think that, those big forest industry. I meant to mention that my name is David Bourgeois. Before I came to the center, I worked for the center for 8 years. I worked in forest industry for 37 years for Westvaco, that became Westvaco, and then West Rock, and then they sold all the land. But everybody thinks, those industrial forestry owns all the land. Average families, the forester, it says here, industry owns 137,000, down 93% since 2001. Well, our company, Westvaco, that I work for, they owned at one time, they owned 500,000 acres in South Carolina. So the ownership by these big companies has gone down, and now it's really dependent on family forests to be supplying the timber that we need. And that makes a huge economic impact, so it's in our best interest to grow as much as we can on the land that we can, and for families to take advantage of that asset. On the next page, this is kind of tells why we exist. Why do the government, why do other people say we want to spend money on this? Well, the statistic under here is that in the early 1900s, minorities owned 15 million acres of land in the United States. At the turn of this century, that was down to 2 million acres. And owning land is not like it. What I tell people is it's an appreciating asset. Land is an appreciating asset. As an example, I moved here in 1979 and I bought my first and only new car in 1985. That car cost me $7,500. And in 1985, if I had taken that $7,500 and bought land, I could have bought about 15 acres of land, planted trees on it, sold the trees off of it in my first rotation and made about $30,000 or $40,000. And then I'd be well into my next rotation today. You can imagine my Mazda GLC went under the crusher in about 2000, and when I sold it for $800, it was worthless. But Mazda GLC, depreciating asset, land, appreciating asset. You can only sell it 1 acre one time. If you have land, do not sell it. If you have forest land, and even if you have Harris property land, pay the taxes. Someone in the family has to pay the taxes. You do not want to lose your land because there's always something you're going to be able to do with your land. And the other thing I tell people is things that you can do today with land or forest land did not exist. You know, people say, well, you know, the job your son is going to have doesn't exist today when he's 25. Probably true, but the same with this appreciating asset, your land. They have things now called carbon sequestration. You know, they're paying people to not cut their trees. Your trees, as they grow, they're storing carbon in those stems and the roots, and there's ways to calculate that from aerial photography. So there are companies that say, I'm Delta Airlines. My business is based on using fossil fuels. So I'm going to offset my use of fossil fuels. And it's the only way I can fly planes with fossil fuels. I'm going to offset that. I use this many tons, I burn this many tons of carbon when I flew those flights. I'm going to pay these people so much per acre per year for 20 years, 30 years to not cut their trees, longer rotation than they would normally have. That didn't exist 20 years ago. There was no such thing as that. I'm sure most of you have heard of Airbnb. Hey, I rent my house out for the weekend. Well, there's now a thing called Hip Camp where people say, you know, I got a little pond and I got a hookup for, you can put up a pop-up or put your trailer there and I'll pay you a couple $100 to stay there for a weekend. Well, that's a use of land that did not exist 10, 20 years ago. So do not lose your land, keep your land. How will I help you? The next page, the 5 steps to assistance. And you don't need to know this in detail, but part of it is planning and then an application. So I'll go through a scenario of, does anybody here have land? I'd like to get, okay, you raise, does anybody have more than 10 acres of land? Okay, well that's okay, because I am hopeful that I know that I'm here for a reason. When I came out here today, I said, I know I'm here for a reason. If you do not have 10 acres of land, that's fine. But you may know someone in your community, in your family, who says, hey, you know, we're thinking of getting our timber harvested, and we don't know what to do. This guy says he'll pay me, you know, $20,000. And, you know, that sounds like a lot of money, but I don't know what my timber's worth. Well, if you call the center for free, all you do is fill out an intake form. We will come out and walk your land with you, and if you're at that point where you want to sell timber, what we would do is say, all right, we're going to get 3 different bids on your timber, because we don't know what the exact value is, but 3 independent bids where the other person doesn't know what the other people are paying. That's how you're going to find out. Like, you could have some guy come to you and, I'm going to give you $20,000, and then someone calls me next week and says, I'm going to give you $30,000. Whoa, that's $10,000 more. I'm going to go with this guy. Well, one of them could be sitting here and one could be sitting there in the same office. You do not know them. I mean, they do this for a living. Another thing that can happen is, I had this guy in Williamsburg County. He called us up and said, hey, you know, this guy was supposed to pay me. I have a contract to sell my wood, and I got this, you know, timber up near King Street, and he was supposed to pay me upfront payment. He never made the payment, and I don't know what to do. Well, we went out and looked at his timber, and I said, can you get me a copy of your timber sale agreement? Thank God he had one. Do not ever sell timber or let any of your friends sell timber without an agreement. So anyway, I looked at it and said, whoa, he's paying, you know, per ton they're paying for hardwood, for pine, for pulp, different product classes. They said, Okay, wow, he's paying $25 a ton for pine saw timber. That's a pretty good price in today's market. And he's only paying $7 for pine pulpwood, and he's only paying $2.50 for hardwood. Hardwood pulp is going for $8. What the heck? That's weird. I went out to the site, and guess what? It's all hardwood pulp. There's no pine saw timber there. Well, if you're the landowner, you don't know that. You don't know what you don't know. We had the guy send a certified letter. You have not moved equipment. You know, he had, if the company had moved their equipment to that site, willing buyer, willing seller, you sign in the dotted line, there's nothing you can do about it. You can cry in your beer, but that's not going to, you know, you're going to get far less than that's actually worth, just by not knowing. So, send a certified letter. You didn't send me my upfront payments that were promised. You haven't moved any equipment to my site, and this deal is, you know, we're out of this deal. So in that case, it turned out okay, but you know, there's probably 100 people that happens to that we haven't met yet. So if you know anyone who's trying to get timber harvested, or if someone has just had their trees cut, this is how I can help someone more than any other way that I can help someone. And this is what this page is about. If you let your land grow up naturally, which most people have done over time, and then my grandfather cut it, and maybe I'll cut it someday, maybe my great-grandkids will cut it someday. You can do that, but as I tell people, every acre in South Carolina is going to grow up to be something, but it might not be what you want. There's going to be a lot of vines and briars and weeds and things that don't become full-size merchantable trees. If you purposefully plant, the trees are going to be genetically improved, disease resistant, they're going to be the right number per acre, so they're competing at the right rate. They're going to grow up to like 15, 18 years old when you can come in and cut every 5th row and efficiently, and you'll have merchantability that will bring loggers. They will be calling you saying, there's a lot of wood on there per acre, I want to cut that stand, versus, I think you have to wait another 30 years or 20 years before you're going to come in and cut that stand. So the most important thing I can do is help you convert unmanaged land to managed land. Go to your site, hey, it was clear cut, these are the practices that it's going to take. We're going to help you go to the NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, has offices in every county. They've got one right there in Orangeburg, and right next to it is a Farm Service Agency. Help you get a farm tract number that identifies your land for the federal government, and then the office down the hall, we apply for funding to help pay for reforesting. There might be different practices, like we're going to do a spray treatment, and then we're going to plant 600 loblolly pine trees per acre next winter. And so it takes time. You apply now. The money will be available next summer. And at that point, I will help connect you. Like, I don't know who sprays, I don't know who plants trees, and I'll tell you, okay, the NRCS is paying you $142. These are based on numbers that we had last year per acre to do a herbicide spray treatment to prepare. Hey, this contractor who works in Orangeburg County is only charging $132. I can actually be ahead $10 an acre for every acre of land that I'm having done. And then come January, we're going to have a crew come in, and I connect you with this contractor. He comes in and does the spraying in this fall. There's a time period when he's supposed to do that. I go out and take pictures. This area was sprayed. They said they were doing 20 acres. They did 20 acres. Then the NRCS puts money in your account and say, well, my account. That's another thing most people think, why do I have a joint account with government? Well, they're not going to send you a check. They're going to have a joint account in which they deposit money for these practices. Then come winter time, this planting season, things are dormant. I'll connect you with a person or a company that does planting. They're charging you this much for the trees, this much for actually putting them in the ground. And the NRCS said, we're going to pay you $210 an acre for planting 600 trees per acre. And so the crew comes out, they plant the trees, they send you an invoice that says, we planted 20 acres, we planted 600 per acre. I'll go out there, take pictures of the trees, report to the NRCS that, yes, they in fact did plant 20 acres, and I took stocking plots and said there were that many per acre. Then the NRCS puts the money, the $210 an acre, from which you contract. So in other words, this is a really great program for anyone. If you ever meet anyone who has land, 10 acres or more is what we suggest you to do real forestry. I've come to other tracts, but the problem is that, like the South Carolina Forestry Commission, most people consider 10 acres. Earlier it was mentioned how expensive this equipment is, and like cost per mile to do something. Well, if you think in these terms, you really need to have at least 10 acres, because if a logger comes to your site, one, he's going to clear about an acre with his bulldozer, that's one piece of the equipment. 2, he's going to set up a logging deck that he has to plow everything on. 3, he's going to have a skidder, $500,000 with a cutting head, skidder, $500,000 with a thing to drag the trees out. So 5 guys to move that equipment, it might cost him $3,000 to move to your 10-acre tract. Well, if you divide that $3,000, he's losing money. That's money he can't pay you. Versus he's coming to a 50-acre tract. Or if you have your 10-acre tract and there's a 25 right against it, that's a whole different thing. Then we've got more going on. But that's the rationale of saying only 10 acres. But I will go look at your land if you have not if you have a yard. We're not coming in the yard to cut yard trees. That's a whole different thing. That costs money. But I tell people who have less, if the situation is right, you're backing up against this place that's been thinned, and I say, oh, that was thin. They're going to be coming back in the next few years to harvest that. Maybe we can get them to clear cut yours when they're thinning this stand next to you. We can make that work. Because even if you have 5 acres, when you have a clear cut site, the NRCS says that's a resource concern. We'll pay for that. So it can happen, but generally we're talking about more than 10 acres. And all you have to do, as I said, is fill out this interest form and a memorandum agreement that says, I'm not going to sue the center for property. Hey, they cut down my trees. I don't like the way it looks, and I'm going to sue you. The NOA says you can't do that, and also that when you have this agreement with the NRCS, it's between you and the NRCS, or this agreement between you and the contractor. It's not between me and the contractor. So it keeps us at arm's length so that we can continue doing the work that we're doing. The next one, conservation stewardship program. This is kind of, if you don't have that acreage, but for someone who harvests timber or came to us and helped them get their land replanted, then they have programs beyond that where you can actually earn income on 5-year intervals. I'm working with a guy in Colton County right now. We helped him plant his stand in 2020, and now he's doing a conservation project where he's putting in pollinator plots. Bees, butterflies, the pollinators that are necessary for the food we eat. They, pollinate everything on the farms. They're in decline, have been for years, so the NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, has programs where you planted 50 acres. If you put in a 1/4-acre plot here and a 10th-acre plot here of pollinators, we're going to pay you. And it used to be $1,500 a year, now it's $4,000 a year. So that's income that you can make on your land while waiting for your trees to grow. So that's another very generous program that people with land can take advantage of. They have others, environmental quality incentive program. Think of that as a pool of money. You're competing with everybody else when you turn in that application that we helped you fill out. If you're a veteran, that's a checkbox. If you're a minority, that's a checkbox. If you're a first-time farmer, that's a checkbox. Well, you've never grown trees before purposely, you're a first-time farmer. So we're going to take every checkbox you can get. You put in your application with everybody else. They batch them this October, and with all the other people in Northbrook County, they have a set pool of money, and they say, okay, we got these 25 people, and we're going to take you because you rank the highest for your project. And then next summer is when we actually start. Summer 26, then you'll plant in winter 27. We have a thing in here with the South Carolina Tree Farm Program. This dovetails a little bit to say, well, what do I care about that? If you're growing trees purposefully, the Center for Earth Boundary Preservation will pay your membership to Tree Farm. It's an annual membership, and we will pay that for you. And that will help you network with other people who are purposefully growing forests. You can go look at their tree farms and see what they're doing on their tree farm, and you can talk about, hey, you had this guy do a spray job. Was he good? Was he bad? Like if you contact the state, they're going to say, here's a list of people who spray. They can't tell you, this guy is horrible, this guy's a shyster, hey, this guy's pretty good. But if you meet people who are doing the same things that you're trying to do, or, hey, how did you get those trees to grow like that? Those are really great. Or how did you get this prescribed bird so clean? They can tell you that. But the other thing they do is they have advocacy. We were talking before about advocating for our legislators. Well, they have a legislative day every year where they invite all the tree farmers to go up to Columbia. We had this back in February or March. But you go up there and you actually meet in person your lawmakers and talk to them about things that are relevant, particularly to forestry. You might say, there's a bill up that says, we're going to tax off-road diesel an extra $1 per gallon. And you say, I don't care, I got a gas car, I got a Tesla, so I don't care about diesel fuel, that stuff smells. You do care about it if you're a forest landowner, because every mile that logger has to go, he's burning diesel. They're using cheap off-road diesel fuel in those skidders, and so if it costs him $1,000 more a day to work on your property, that's $1,000 less a day that he can pay you. So we would advocate for that. Something that you have in common with your roads here in Warrensburg. Well, we advocate for fixing roads and bridges. A lot of times you go by these little old bridges, say, oh, that's a 2-ton weight limit. Well, if you got a 90-ton log truck, and you say, so what, I don't care if the log truck has to go around here, but if I have land, the mill is here, the bridge is here, and my land is here, and all of a sudden he's got to go 50 miles around, well, that log truck costs him about $4 a mile to run. He might say, one, I'm not going to touch your wood because it's too expensive to take it all the way to the mill. I got to go back and forth, and I go back empty. Or he might say, well, I'm going to pay you, so much less a ton because it costs me that much more to get the wood to the mill. So, we might want to put roads and bridges. Another big one that's actually happening this year is there's legislation about tort reform. The way the tort reform works now is the log trucks have to carry literally millions of dollars in damages, and the way it works is the attorneys will go to the highest pockets. They don't care if you were responsible for the accident, like my log truck was parked here, you crashed into it. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. He's got millions of dollars policy. We're going to sue him because he can pay way more. So they're trying to change that because they're actually putting a lot of these logger or truck drivers out of business. It makes it very difficult for them to, their insurance costs are just insanely high. So that would be some advocacy. All you have to do is, if you have 10 acres more, fill this out, and we would help you with that. Are there any questions? I'm trying to throw a lot at you. But anyway, I recognize that you folks say that from what I can tell, you don't have a lot. Nobody has 10 acres of land anymore. But maybe you know someone, or you will meet someone. But I want you to know that our services are there. And I can tell you a couple examples of where we actually, what I thought, help people. There's a guy right outside Bowman, that's not far from here, and he came to us. And actually, I'm going to tell you another story. Maybe go a little deeper here. Are you familiar with the Orangeburg Massacre? Anyone? Yeah. Okay, so you've heard that. Well, I met this guy, George Simmons, and he has a tract, it's only about 8 or 10 acres. Somebody had harvested land. Probably didn't pay him very much. I didn't ask, but he later on told me, yeah, I got it screwed. But anyway, Stuart Simmons came to us and said, hey, I got this cut over, can you help me? Took him to the Orangeburg County office, NRCS office, and the FSA, and there's a minority guy that said hi to me on the way in. I had met him before, and there was a Hispanic lady working at one of the desks. And anyway, there's a diverse mix of people working there, and everybody was being helpful. And we came out of there, and he'd signed up to the paper, and he came out, and he was shaking his head. And I said, what's the matter? He said, I can't believe how things have changed around here. He lives up in D.C. He said, you might not know this about me, but he said, several blocks down there, 50 years ago, I got shot in the neck, and I went and looked it up and said, he was one of the people who was in the Orangeburg Massacre. He's one of the people who got shot, thankfully lived. But anyway, we helped him replant. He had harvested about 8 or 10 acres, and I said, Mr. Simmons, I see you're leasing your land because it was alongside this farm field. They were planting corn. And he said, well, I'm not getting farm. He said, this guy's farming land, and clearly I can look at aerial photography back to 1994. He's always been farming your land. Maybe 2 acres, but if you have 8 acres, 2 more acres, that's a significant proportion of land. So anyway, I said, you need to send him a certified letter. I'm going to be planting my trees next year, and you're farming on my land without compensation. And so he contacted him, and sure, the guy said, well, yeah, that's fine. Like, he knew, that the farmer knew that he was on the guy's land, but I've just always been doing that. Nobody's ever called me on it. So we put in some PVC pipes one day. He came down. He was going to be here for a couple days. I got some PVC, put it across the field. The crews went, they sprayed, they planted, and if I could show my PowerPoint, I have a picture of a young lady who works with us now, standing here. She's kind of short, but he now has 15, 20-foot tall trees. He is now going to be earning income on his land, and the other big deal for him is he's older, but he doesn't want his kids to have to fight about whose land is whose. There's a pine plantation here. The pine plantation is my land. The farm field is your land. It's not gonna be like, well, I voted for farmland, what are you talking about? There's not gonna be no, but a lot of times we help people in little ways like that that are unexpected. You would be surprised at the number of people. One of the first things I'll do with the landowner when I go to the land is try to find, hey, can you show me where your corners are? Can you show me where your boundaries are? Because if you take a locker there and you say, I want to sell my timber, and he's just looking at woods, you say, well, my land's over there, and their land is there, and he's like, I don't know what I'm buying. So what they'll do is they call it cheating the line in. He doesn't, the locker, if he cuts some of that guy's timber, he can get sued for triple damages. He doesn't have time to get equipment, he doesn't be running the equipment to make money. So they'll just cheat the line in 30 feet or something like that. Not a big deal. Well, 30 feet, 1,000 feet long is a lot of trees. And then that's also area that you're not replanting to make more productive in the next rotation. So we've helped several people.